This short video is about ad hominem, logical fallacy. That's the last topic this semester. So in 1 second, I will share the screen and we will go over um, the issues there. Okay, so let's start slideshow from the current slide. And so the expression ad hominem is a Latin word, two words, and it literally means against the person. Ad against, hominem, person. So this fallacy, it's a logical fallacy. It occurs when instead of addressing someone's argument or position, people attack the person himself or herself, or some aspect of that person who is making the argument. So this fallacious attack can also be directed to membership in a group or institution. So I will show some examples so we can understand them a little better. So here's the first one. Professor, we shouldn't have to read this book by Freud. Everyone knows he used cocaine. So this word is hidden by this cam. Oh, I can show it. Good. Okay. So these examples come from this philosophy website. So I'm giving credit. If you want to look for more, you can click this link and go there and check out more examples. They're also available on other sites on the internet, but here are some that were shared by this particular website. Again, Professor, we shouldn't have to read this book because the author was a cocaine addict. It actually is true. It has been proven that Freud was, in fact, a cocaine addict. However, this particular argument does not address whether or not the content of the book is correct or incorrect. People don't say, Professor, we shouldn't read this book by Freud because many of his theories were not supported when people tried to replicate his experiments. They didn't say, Professor, we shouldn't have to read this book. It contains outdated information. Uh, the field of psychology has moved way beyond Freud, and it's just old and outdated. It's not valid anymore. No, these people chose to say, well, the author is cocaine addict, so we don't have to read the book. Well, maybe some of the stuff is great. Maybe all of the stuff is great. From this particular argument, we don't know that. Okay, so instead of attacking the content of the book, the person chooses to attack the author personally. Okay, the next example. Socrates' argument about human excellence are rubbish. What could a man as ugly as he know about human excellence? Well, that's pretty obvious. Instead of arguing whether or not the analysis of human excellence is good, bad, or flawed, or partially good, partially bad, the person just says, oh, he was ugly. Okay, so that's another example of ad hominem attack. Oops, wrong slide. Okay, next one. Of course, Marx's theories about the ideal society are bunk. The guy spent all his time in the library. Well, this makes no sense whatsoever. It's not whether those theories are supported by any evidence. It's not whether or not those theories were developed based on rigorous analysis. It's just, well, what is the writer like? Well, he spent his time in the library. In my book, that would be actually a compliment for the speaker. That's bad to spend too much time in the library. But that's an example of an ad hominem logical fallacy. It's an illogical thing to do, to attack the author instead of considering the positives and negatives of the argument of that author. Next one, we cannot approve of this recycling idea. It was thought of by a bunch of hippie communist weirdos. Okay, is recycling good, bad, possible, impossible, practical, impractical. Is it going to improve our situation? Is going to make it worse? None of this is considered. We're just saying that people who introduced it are a bunch of hippies, and so we're not going to give this proposal any thought. That's a logical fallacy. There's no reason to take seriously Nietzsche's ideas about Superman, weak and sickly all his short life. Of course, he found the concept captivating. In psychology, we call this compensation. Same, same process here. Instead of arguing or what is wrong or what is correct about the ideas about the Superman, people say that the guy was weak, he was sickly, he lived a short life. All three of those facts are actually true, but they are irrelevant in this case. An ethical argument would have been um, examining the elements of Nietzsche's ideas about Superman, not his personality. Finally, no, I will not reply. I see no need to defend my views against the objections of ignoramuses. Same process here. You don't say that I'm right, you're wrong, and these are the reasons. You say, I'm not going to argue with you because I consider you stupid. Okay. I believe this is the easiest of the issues that I have talked about. So this is about all I'm going to say. I will give you two more examples from very recent political discourse. And I'm going to ask you to find more examples of ad hominem attacks when people do not consider, do not give attention to the arguments of the person, but just attack the person's physical or mental or psychological um, characteristics. Okay, so the first one, um, well, I'll skip Ronald Reagan because that was more of a joke. I will not make when people said that he was too old. He said, I'm not going to make age an issue in this campaign. I'm not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience. So instead of saying, oh, stop attacking me for being old, I'm going to um, talk about my opponent's youth and inexperience. All right, so these are the two examples that I've said that I will bring from very recent politics. So yeah, that comes from Facebook. My apologies. Um, when people were discussing the recent protests against the lockdown, instead of discussing whether or not the lockdown works or it doesn't work, it's necessary, it's not necessary, it's logical and reasonable, or it's illogical and reasonable. One person just put, Whitmer looks like Lord Farquaad, and two pictures. So, what does her look have to do with the issue of the lockdown? Nothing. And because of that, this is an example of ad hominem attack. Okay, there is a similar one. Well, this one is directed to the president. Orange is the new insane. So it's just a personal insult instead of saying that for a particular policy introduced by the president is wrong, bad, right, correct, and correct, applied logically or illogically, the people just say that they connect his look and they attack his intelligence. And these are the examples I wanted to share with you. I would like you to search the internet, find other examples when people attack the personality instead of considering the proposals or considering the positions, and post them in the discussion. That is it. Thank you so much.